I wanted to play around with Python and just try to build an app, and that's what I did. I'm going to show how I went about building this Sudoku app using prompt. I use Claude .ai, the Gen AI from Amazon by Entropy, and it seems to work really well. Although not all generations produce the same results. It's interesting that the same prompt produce pretty much different results. I have one of the button that say hint, and I was just playing around with hint, basically just inserting from hint or helping getting cells populated. And then, I tried to solve it, and yeah, I managed to solve it as well. The various, it's the various implementation of difficulty seems to create different sort of puzzles, although I didn't quite test the logic of the medium and the hard puzzles, but the simple one seems to work playing around with it for a few times. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this implementation of Sudoku application. And now I'm going to show you how I went about building this code by using only English. So this is the prompt that I used to create the prompt that make the code. And this is the code structure, the main file, and all the subfolders that he has created. So the prompt that I wrote is this prompt. I'll put I'll put it in the description. In fact, I'll cut and paste the entire prompt into the description so you can read it for yourself. But the idea is that I have the content of the prompt that will create the proper prompt, which will in turn create the code. I put the logic as best I could into the prompt, and at the end, I also asked for it to validate the logic as well as validate the syntax that's being produced. The prompt decided to break up the various codes, and the structure of the folder is something like this. And therefore, you can read the rest of it. But the idea is that if you generate this code the way this is done, there will be a self-validation at the end, and this is the code that results from it. You could see that it's actually playable. I could create a simple new game, and then it would, give you all the stuff. And then when you mouse over, the color of the numbers also changes, and that's also part of my request in the prompt. When you mouse over to 2 or mouse over to whatever, and then you could start putting in the numbers. And even when you mouse over other numbers or trying to solve it, it still work pretty well. The funny thing is that I have run this prompt a few times, and each time the results are different. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. And the rendition that I get in this version is actually pretty good, and I'm actually quite happy with this version of it. Although I've had better versions, I've run this probably about 6-7 times. It doesn't matter. I deleted all of them, and the code came out quite different. Sometimes it produced a single Python code in one file. Sometimes it decides to speed it out into different structure. The prompt is exactly the same. I didn't change anything. I just rerun it, and Claude seems to have a mind of its own, and in many ways, it's quite scary that I cannot repeat what I did. I guess you could, almost sort of have to keep all the previous files and stuff like that. If you really want a previous version, then because make sure you have a backup copy of it. If not, every time you delete stuff and it's just gone because it does not repeat. Just because you have the same prompt does not mean that Claude. I guess it's the same for the other LLM, but it's worth testing it and see what happens. But with Claude, it does not give me the same answer. So this is a scary bit. I mean, I can code in English, basically. It will be able to give me the kind of prompt that can then generate the code or various files that contain the codes. And it can even have basic validations for syntax and for basic logic, I suppose. I guess I could also add another line to say, create a few of the test conditions for me to test to make sure that it works once the code is implemented. So all these are amazing stuff. It spells the end of programming as we know it. I spent years doing programming when I started working 33 years ago, or whatever the number of years, can't quite remember. I'm pretty old in this game. But I've had tremendous fun in the whole journey. But it's an amazing time. AI can code pretty well from the look of it. Sudoku is not exactly simple logic. It's quite fun seeing it create some complex stuff, and it understood my English. It generates the code brilliantly, and I believe it all was done all within 5 or 6 minutes or so. So pretty impressive, I must say. So this is the latest episode. I hope you stay safe wherever you are. This is We Take Out for take two for now. Bye.